Hello and welcome to MVP The Master's Voice podcast from MediaBrief.com. This is our award-winning series and it's won so many awards purely because of the quality and stature of the guests that I am fortunate that we attract and because of the kind of, I think, expert knowledge-driven conversations primarily because of the guests who appear on the show, which is why I am truly delighted that on behalf of the entire Indian advertising fraternity, MediaBrief.com's podcast series is playing host to one of Nepal's finest young advertising and marketing experts. Please join me as I welcome Ujaya Shakya.
Hello, Mr. Chawla.
Welcome. Oh, don't call me Mr. Chawla. Please call me Pawan.
Sure.
So Ujaya is the first vice president of the Advertising Association of Nepal. He's the founder of Outreach and the author of Brandsutra. And Ujaya is someone who, along with other professionals and A&M leaders in Nepal, is working to empower the space in our neighboring country, that is advertising and marketing. And that and more is what we will speak about in this episode of MVP The Master's Voice podcast. But before we start, Ujaya, allow me to tell my viewers and listeners a little something about you, right? Ujaya has more than 2 decades of experience in strategic 360-degree communication, branding, and social communication development. Ujaya spearheads one of the most awarded communication groups based in Kathmandu. Amongst multiple awards, Ujaya has won the Flame Leadership Award from the Rural Marketing Association of India, RMAI, and the ECI Innovative Marketer of the Year 2023 in Wuxi, China, and many others. Ujaya's first book, Brandsutra, on branding and advertising, was published in 2015. He's also a regular contributor to global publications on topics related to advertising in and from Nepal. And of course, Ujaya serves as the first vice president of the Advertising Association of Nepal. So that is my distinguished guest, Ujaya. Ujaya, thank you for being on the show. And thanks also to my wonderful friend, Ramesh Narayan. He's like a guiding light and an empowering enabler for the entire advertising and marketing fraternity in India for such a long time. And, he connected me with Ujaya and so very happy to have made the acquaintance, which I hope will develop into a bigger and more fruitful professional relationship that will empower both the Indian and the Nepal advertising space. And MediaBrief.com likes to be a conduit for this kind of a crossroads of knowledge and exchange.
Pleasure being here. And thank you to you and also Ramesh Sandan.
So, Ujaya, let's quickly start about, I want the idiot's guide to advertising in Nepal. What is the size of the advertising market in Nepal? What's the growth rate across the different important, largest kind of revenue verticals in advertising in Nepal?
It is said that Nepal's advertising is around 1,500 crores, of which traditional advertising, or we can also say legacy advertising, is around 70%. And 30% is the digital media or new age media. I would say that digital media is growing very, very fast.
Right.
Even in case of legacy media, television is doing very good because there is a new clean feed policy that has got implemented.
Yes, we'll talk about that, but don't tell us now. Sure. I want to make this a specific question. It's a very important thing that you are doing there.
We're going to discuss that as well.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to say was television has introduced a lot of new content in Nepali market, both domestic contents like local content, localized content, and also some of the international franchise shows has arrived.
Okay. Wonderful. And how has Nepal's advertising market evolved, over the past few years, especially with the advent of digital? It's like the same kind of route that happens in India and then in Nepal and the other surrounding, areas and territories. But tell me, I want to hear from you, a very predominantly traditional media captive and driven advertising market is today becoming smarter, far more digital, and is being driven by digital. And we'll be talking about the regulation and the new things that you are actually here in India to try and do for the entire space in advertising in Nepal. But tell me, how has Nepal's advertising market evolved over the past few years, especially with the advent of digital media and changing consumer needs and patterns and behavior?
Sure. I would say, I think the modern advertising in Nepal has started around 30 years back, of which I suppose when JWT and McCann Erickson's and some other global agency came to Nepal in I think in during 90s, that's when I suppose the structured process of advertising grew faster. And in fact, I myself is also a product of JWT. I happened to work with them for a few years.
And then 20 years ago, you started
my
Outreach.
own company, Outreach.
Right.
So in fact, 2024, we are celebrating 20th anniversary of Outreach.
Oh, wonderful.
On the occasion, we are also doing some exercise,
Right.
Which is not just for my own company, but I want to also kind of give back to the industry.
Wonderful.
In terms of, bringing more structure process.
Wonderful. In fact, this brings me to my next question. You are all about, and the Advertising Association of Nepal and all the other fellow leaders there, all of you all together are all about wanting to empower advertising more and more in Nepal, right?
Yes.
The Indian advertising market is, even if I say so myself, a far more mature market.
Right.
And it has definitely the capability and has also delivered on that on some fronts, the ability to empower and support and handhold and, together grow with and grow advertising in Nepal. So what role does advertising play in Nepal, Ujaya? And how has Indian advertising influenced the advertising landscape in your country?
Like you rightly said, even in your question, Indian advertising is a very mature, industry in the region itself, not just not just inspiring Nepalese advertising, but I suppose to South Asian advertising. And today I feel very proud that a lot of India's good work is showcased in the international global stage,
Right.
In fact, I happen to be jury in some of those.
Right.
In the process, I come across a lot of good work that Indian advertising is doing and feel so proud because I also happen to study here, and have a lot of Indian advertising friends. And I want to congratulate them for all the good work they are doing.
Wonderful.
In the process, I also feel that we want to get inspired by what India is doing. This is kind of a benchmark for us, and I really hope that our fellow ad fraternity in India is open-minded to work hand in hand.
I can assure you they always are.
Yeah, sure. Looking forward to.
No, that's wonderful. So, Ujaya, let me ask you something, which is a very important question for every company, enterprise, business, captain, leader, CMO, marketing, brand custodian, right? What are the main pain points of such people, of this cohort in Nepal amongst your clients, for instance? What troubles them? What keeps them up nights?
I think one of the, biggest problem that currently we are facing in Nepal is the talent crunch.
Okay.
Because I think, the young talent that we require for the advertising ecosystem, or for that matter, our marketing ecosystem, is a little bit difficult because one is we getting competed by other larger industries like IT, A lot of IT companies are taking away our talents. Other is because the young Nepalese has aspiration to do much better than their counterparts in the past. They aspire to go outside the country and work. Therefore, we kind of have to compete to, retain them in our country as well.
And then if you look at amongst the trends of evolution, how advertising in Nepal also, it's followed the Indian trend. While we are a mature market, today the commissions have gone down. Agencies have to really struggle because they don't make enough money. And so they can't really offer the kind of monies that the brightest brains get from other sectors. So isn't that also a problem?
That's a pain point as well.
That's probably the reason for the talent crunch.
Yeah. To a certain extent, yes. Because, a passion can retain a person to a certain extent.
Correct.
But after some time, they also need some kind of,
you can't live on love and fresh air.
Exactly. And Pawan, one more thing. I also feel that beside talent, reputation management is a key. And
biggest worry.
Yeah,
it's here in India too. In fact, globally. Yeah. Exactly. Please go ahead.
And that in that sense, we need good team structures to work on the reputation management or image management of the company,
In terms of communicating as advertisers and marketing initiative kind of rollers out.
Exactly.
Okay.
So in that sense, like, I think it's for tit for tat. It's a vicious circle where, the talents and all the other things has to work together to make it happen.
Absolutely. An important player in the entire ecosystem of advertising in Nepal is one that you are a senior, leadership team member of, which is the Advertising Association of Nepal, the AAN. How is it contributing to the development and regulation of advertising in Nepal? Regulation is a word that everybody shudders when they hear in India, especially with television and, OTT and the other broadcasting. But let's keep that aside. Tell me, why and how is regulation good? And what is the Association of Advertising Agencies of Nepal doing to develop the space?
So let me, speak on the Advertising Association first.
Please,
because that is what I
please,
represent,
Yes.
So I am currently vice president there.
Yes.
In that standpoint, there are few areas that we want to work. But then having said that, we've also recognized that for the advertising ecosystem to work, there are five elements that has to go hand in hand. One is the advertisers. Therefore, we want to also see how we can help the process with the advertisers.
Okay.
Second is the agency, which is our members. Therefore, of course, there are certain, like training programs and all the skill development exercise we are doing. And
So you
also
all
the award
create
ceremony.
and curate the content.
We are trying to do that. We are trying to do that for
okay.
the advertising agency members as well. The third is the media fraternity, because media also goes very hand in hand.
Yes.
Majority of our business contribution also come from media.
Right.
Therefore, we are also very closely working with Media Society and Media Broadcasting Association of Nepal on that regard. Fourth is consumer. We cannot forget consumer, because eventually advertising means for consumers. In that regard, we are working, for that aspect as well. We cannot, we are putting consumer in the center.
Right.
And then, of course, there is the regulatory aspects, which nobody can ignore. There are some policies that we have to follow. And fortunately, since 2 years, we have advertising board, which is...
I also want to ask you about one more thing, and then we'll talk about regulation. You mentioned the media bodies, the broadcasters, which brings me to the biggest pain point in Indian advertising is often the lack and sometimes the complete absence of measurement. So why don't you dovetail the regulation, which is started 2 years ago, the lack of measurement, and what AAN is doing to sort of help that space? How is regulation helping you empower the advertising space in Nepal?
So basically, like I said, it's just been 2 years that there is a regulatory body in place, and it's very nice to see that the current chairman is very open-minded, and also because it's a new organization and he's willing to work with most of the stakeholders.
Okay.
And he's formed a lot of committees, and we've been also part of some of those committees. In that process, there are certain code of conduct that he has brought in, which was never there. Therefore, that gives us a best practices in place. Similarly, there is a policy in making that also can become a guiding force for us to work on.
So was the clean feed policy a result of, the regulation that happened?
It is of course one of the
offshoots
of the offshoots of the regulation that has come into play.
Tell us about the clean feed policy.
Okay, the clean feed policies has been implemented.
Advertising in Nepal, we are talking about.
2 years. And previously, what was happening was all the Indian channels, or even for that matter, the other foreign channels, which comes to Nepalese territory, used to also have Indian advertising or a global advertising, Therefore, the clean feed policy says that you cannot have advertising that is meant for foreign audience coming into the Nepalese territory.
So an Amitabh Bachchan ad cannot be dubbed into Nepalese from Hindi.
Okay, one is that aspect.
Okay.
The other is the aspect where if the foreign channels is being beamed to the country, you cannot have foreign advertising in between, which is meant for the Indian audience or some other global audience, right? Therefore,
so if a product is not sold in Nepal, you cannot advertise the international brand. in an international program.
Yeah, in that sense, yes, because there are situations where even the product is not sold in Nepal because of the foreign channels getting beamed. Like those products are being advertised in Nepal, and that can confuse the consumer to certain aspects, right? But the regulation also says that if there is a foreign channel that's getting beamed into Nepal, like there cannot have foreign advertising that is planned for Indian audience or for the global audience coming into those channels, right? Therefore, there is all that foreign channels that is getting beamed into Nepal currently doesn't have any advertising. It is just the content.
In Nepal now, today, you can only air or whatever, distribute ads across various pipelines of content delivery, which are made in Nepal by Nepalese talent in the language that is the common language or one of the common languages in Nepal. Is that correct?
Yeah, to a certain extent, you are correct. One is like I said, the foreign advertising that is being produced or getting beamed in the foreign channels cannot be beamed within the territory of Nepal. The clean feed policy says that. The other is, previously what was also happening was there were a lot of ads that were dubbed and run. Like for example, some ads that were actually produced for Indian audience is dubbed into Nepali and being run. Therefore, you cannot run a dub ad. In that context, what has happened is if you want to advertise within the territory of Nepal, you have to create a content within Nepal with the Nepali talents. And that's already happening since many years now.
So within these
in
the last 2 odd years, the content creation or the creative side of the agencies or their business verticals would have grown?
I'm sure. To a certain extent, a lot of production facilities has also enhanced. And also the agencies like us, we now are investing heavily onto the creative side of the business because that is the requirement of an hour.
Lovely. Ujaya, you've already spoken of the Nepalization in advertising.
Yeah.
So tell me about that and how it translates into practical strategies.
See, like I said, I've also studied in India and I've lived here for a few years, In that regard, what I've realized is whenever, like you say Nepal or Nepalese, people think that all Nepalese are mountainous people or hilly people. That there itself you go wrong because Nepal actually consists of 3 regions. One
regions.
Is mountain, high mountains, right? Second is hilly, right? And the third is Tarai, plain, which is bordering to India. Therefore, we have all different kind of culture, different kind of people, language, therefore, by the means of Nepalization, what I mean is you have to first of all accept the fact that there is a very diverse audience even in Nepal. And they have different cultures, different languages,
different needs.
Yeah. Therefore, in that regard, if we are producing certain content, these things has to be taken into consideration. And I'm very happy to say that a lot of clients are doing that right now. Even the global clients, and they've seen the success with these approach.
Lovely. So, since there are different kinds of places and geographies and therefore needs, etc., and consumer and customer behaviors also, right? And priorities.
Yes.
How is Nepali advertising using those cultural local insights, right, to create ads which connect with the viewers, with the target audiences that they are looking at? I don't mean viewers, but the target audiences.
Yes, of course. Like I said, it has already started to happen. And a lot of, not only the Nepali brands, like even the brands from India or the global brands are doing this. And they've seen a reasonable amount of success implementing these approaches. Because like I said, like it has to be relatable to the Nepalese audience. And they are, a lot of time I also feel that advertising is the reflection of a society.
Always, yes.
Therefore, like if you don't take this approach, it doesn't work.
Tell me, from the Indian advertising of late or whichever you recall, which ones have you resonated with?
There are many, in fact. Like I said, in Nepal, we get really inspired by the kind of work that you guys are doing in India. Not just in Nepal, in the subcontinent as well, because I have friends in Bangladesh, Sri Lanka. We all talk about good work that you guys are doing, But having said that, currently, there was new ad. I don't know if I am to say this, but there was one ad that was created by somebody here. And
If you want to name them, please do.
That really touched me, because the title of the ad says that I think it's a very beautiful story where the person is a government officer, and he said that he doesn't like the work. He doesn't like his work because he has to choose. He has a budget to cure only one child, while there are two
children. Yes,
children he need that budget for the healthcare. And that was really beautifully done. And of course, there are a lot of good work that you guys have done in terms of I don't know who created that, but in terms of brands like Asian Paints, Fevicol, like MCL, like a lot of those work which has Indian cultures and elements, has always kind of been our favorite. Beside that, what I like about Indian advertising is sometimes it's very good on storytelling, and emotions.
Ujaya, how has the growth of social media platforms, how has that affected your traditional advertising in Nepal? And what are the technologies that have come in the advertising space? You can take both of these questions and give me one answer.
Of course, we cannot ignore the digital, media and the penetration of internet. I suppose not just in Nepal, all across the world. In Nepal currently, if I'm not wrong, we have 63% internet penetration, which is quite a big amount, right? And if I remember correctly, particularly with Facebook alone, there are around 12 million population register. Of the 30 million of population that Nepal has, 12 million is with Facebook alone. Therefore, social media is not to be ignored. And it is big part of what we do as a integrated marketing communication. But then, having said that, there are also pros and cons. We realize that when you only use social media to a certain extent, the impact that is to be seen is not much, particularly when it is mass media, particularly when it is mass marketed consumer products.
FMCGs.
FMCGs. Because mass marketed consumer products are to be sold across pan Nepal, and it is the data is relatively expensive as compared to what you have in India as of now. And I think the across the country, the television penetration is still very high, and the television content, like I said, is improving very fast. Not just with the local content, but also with the international franchise shows coming in. In that regard, and of course the sports, like the Nepalese sports, particularly cricket, has started to do very well. The Nepalese cricket team is performing very well, and of course football has always been a big part of our society.
How is the IPL doing in Nepal? Star Sports is available there, right?
It is, but like I said, they cannot have advertising insert as of now, as per the policy.
But otherwise, as a genre,
IPL has quite a good viewership as well. Also because there were some Nepalese players who were playing in your IPL clubs.
Correct. How about the OTT space in Nepal? Which are the better platforms?
OTT is not that mature as of now. It is evolving. There are few platforms. But I would say that it will take some time. Television as a content provider itself is doing well at this point of time.
Okay. Your book. Tell us a little bit about Brandsutra. 2015 is when you published it.
Exactly, you're right. So, what happened was there was a advertising seminar that we used to conduct every year. It's called Brand Face. And that regard,
9 editions have come by.
Yeah, exactly.
And then during COVID, you were forced to stop.
And it hasn't.
And hopefully you will have one this year.
Let's hope so.
Fingers crossed.
So, so during one of those first seminar, there was a discussion that we should give a kind of a rhythm to what is being discussed in these seminars.
Okay.
And therefore, there was a discussion because this, Brand Face is being organized by the Himalayan Times. It's an English daily.
It's the Times of India of Nepal.
Yeah, it's kind of one of the newspapers. So it was discussed how to keep it a rhythm till the next edition comes.
Okay.
Therefore, there was a discussion that we should start some column And I happened to start that column for the first time. It's called Brand Basic.
Okay.
So I used to write column almost every week
Okay.
on advertising, branding, marketing. With
So
the
it became a
Himalayan Times.
collection of those?
Exactly. So it became a collection of those once I completed around 50 plus of them. A publication called Fine Print approached me, and then we happened to kind of publish it in 2015, and it was a sold out. So hopefully there is a second version that I'm working on. Let's hope that it comes out well.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
What are your views on what needs to be done in Nepal for advertising in terms of measurement, in terms of commissions, in terms of pitch fees? I mean, because very often you see that even in India, some clients will call for a pitch, and some of them will sort of just use the ideas and give them for execution to somebody else. So are you in favor of a pitch fee?
Yeah, this is a
democratization.
This is difficult, but then the good thing is that we've kind of agreed between at least few agencies, that there will be a pitch fee.
Okay.
And we are complying with that, particularly when it comes to creative presentations.
Correct.
If they are sending us a brief, and if we are doing some creative ideations and presenting, so we are taking pitch fee right now in Nepal.
Like you said, manas are involved.
Yeah, exactly. There's a team structure that is.
So if there are 5 agencies in a pitch, and your agency gets selected, the other 4 do not, then they will receive the pitch fee or a rejection fee.
They will receive the pitch fee. Whereas someone who got selected will get the business.
But they will retain the ownership and authorship or the IP of their specific creative concepts, unless they are, not the generic kind of things that normally.
No, of course, that is a thought, because this is the ideation that has come from the team that's working for that agency.
Wonderful.
That's what we.
Wonderful. No, that's really good. What is your message for younger people in Nepal who are sort of looking for a career in advertising and marketing?
I think, the young guys has to consider this as one of their profession as well, like I did some 20 years back, and it is a very vast field. There are a lot of new opportunity in terms of technology, digital, and a lot of AI, ML, a lot of these things, augmented realities, a lot of these things are happening parallelly at the same time, I also see that, in fact, some of these big platforms measure revenue sources advertising. Therefore, advertising is only going to grow. Maybe the formats are changing. Maybe the situations are changing. But the industry is growing fast, and in that sense, they have to open-minded to consider it, learn about it.
Lovely.
And maybe, deep dive.
So a youngster comes to you just out of college and says, Mr. Shakya, please, I would like to work with you as an intern or trainee, whatever. Okay? Or a first junior job. What are the 2 or 3 qualities that you look for always? Ye nahi to nahi chahiye. If he doesn't have or she doesn't have these 1, 2 or 3 qualities, I would much rather not go with this person.
See, because this is a business of creativity, you have to be very open-minded.
Open-minded.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that is one criteria that is the must-have. Another is passion.
Passion,
right?
yes.
Yeah. Without passion, nothing works.
Sure. And you were mentioning being able to work in a team.
Of course. It's a team's business, all the good things that happens to me or like you said, some of the award that is mentioned is because of my team. They are the one who is doing the hard work, and I am getting recognized by guys like
you. No. Thank you. You have graced our episode. I'm very, very grateful to you for that. Tell me this is my last question to you, and then you can tell me, no, you need to ask me one more, and we will do that. But who have been the 1 or 2 or 3 people who have really inspired you throughout your life, in the professional space of advertising, whether from Nepal or India or anywhere else?
See, I'll tell you an incident. It actually happened in India only.
Okay.
When I started work with JWT, I left JWT because my family also has other business,
Okay.
And my father wanted me to be back in that business. I was there with my father for some time, but I got bored and I wanted to come back to advertising. at that point of time, I traveled to Bombay.
Okay.
I've traveled to Bombay because I've lived in Pune. I'm quite comfortable with the city here. And then I had approached few legendary advertisers, advertising people here, just as a young person, I think I've emailed them, and few of them has responded. And one of them who responded was Mr. Sam Balsara.
Sam Balsara.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't know him. Just, like I emailed him
and most wonderful, giving, genial people.
And he told me to come and see him, And I remember going and seeing him, and we spoke, He also gave me some of his credential decks and other things, like that kind of gave me a positivity to start my own agency.
Okay.
In fact, I've told him, because I met him a couple of times. He happened to also visit my agency.
He visited your agency in Kathmandu.
Yeah,
okay.
sometime back. And I know him very well.
Yes.
In that sense, I did, he did inspire me to a certain extent. And of course, in a process, there are a lot of good work being done by Piyush Pandey, like I meet him in events, of course, all the good work that he's doing also inspire me. Yeah.
I tell you, Sharmain Ka Sofa is the most amazing ad I've seen. Beautiful mix of music and you were talking about that. It's a beautiful one from Fevicol. Anything else you want to tell us? I have enjoyed my conversation with you, Ujaya. What did you think of your chat with me for the Master's Voice podcast on MediaBrief.com?
Pawan, I really want to thank you for the platform that you've given me to speak about. What I want is, what I feel is if Indian advertising has really evolved to one level, not just in subcontinent, but in the global stage, And we are just a neighbor. We are just next door.
Neighbors, yeah.
Therefore, we want some kind of, like that kind of open-mindedness to come from the
hand-holding and working together.
Exactly.
Because both will benefit.
At least to learn and groom the talents and maybe attract the younger people to this industry. Like I've been attracted some 2 decades ago.
Absolutely. There are some amazing, brilliant minds here who've been the pillars. You already mentioned Sam, there's Ramesh, there's Swami. I mean, now I'm in dangerous territory because I've only taken 3 names. There are so many wonderful people, the ad club.
Of course, I keep on meeting Ramesh Chandan and Mr. Swami, in different forums.
Right.
And get inspired. In fact, they have visited us in Nepal as well. Yeah.
What do you think also of the kind of work that we do at MediaBrief.com?
Of course, you guys are kind of highlighting the good work that is happening in the advertising industry. That I really appreciate, and I really hope that such platform is available in our market as well in future.
Oh, always there for you, and it's online, so there are no barriers at all.
Sure.
So, well, wonderful, Ujaya. Thank you ever so much for being on this episode. I really enjoyed talking to you, and I'm sure that everybody who's watching us, listening to us, to you specifically, will find this a very beneficial conversation. Thank you ever so much. In fact, I must tell you that he made time specially for us to be here today and record it. So thanks for that too, for your gracious warmth and your hospitality and all the insights that you've shared. And I'm sure that MediaBrief, I can assure you this, that we will do whatever it takes to try and bring out the best of advertising and professionals from Nepal and their work and spread the word about that in India amongst all the advertising people. You already do that at your level, but then we'll try and make it bigger in terms of reach. So that is something I can promise you.
My pleasure to be here. And thank you once again, Pawan, and also Ramesh, who's helped me to be here.
Thank you ever so much. And I will see you definitely when your event this year happens with the Advertising Association of Nepal.
Sure.
All right. So MediaBrief is with you. And thank you ever so very much once again. So that was my wonderful guest today, Ujaya Shakya, one of the finest advertising leaders from Nepal, from the Advertising Association of Nepal. Close to 24 years of experience, a lot of empowerment of the entire space there. Also, writer of the book, author of the book, Brandsutra, and founder of his amazing agency, which completes 20 years this year in Nepal, Outreach. So anytime anybody wants to reach out to the audiences in Nepal, you know how to do your outreach. You have Ujaya Shakya in Nepal. Till we meet again in the next episode of MVP The Master's Voice podcast, this is the host and friend Pawan R. Chawla saying, take care, stay safe, bye-bye.